Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pixel and here is my review of Chapter 2 of Haunting Nightmare, which, you know, is for the month of Macabre. Anywho. So before I get in, first and foremost, disclaimer. I own nothing. Everything belongs to the rightful owners, so please go and support them and be nice, please. And once again, some viewers may find this a bit disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. So yeah, Chapter 2 is titled Aggression, I think. Yeah, Aggression. And it starts off with Twilight waking up and and apparently it seems that she didn't get much sleep because she feels like her body is on autopilot. She's going through the motions of her morning routine. So she goes and cleans herself up. And yeah, she basically recalls about what happened. What appears to it's revealed that Twilight was trying to sleep, but she couldn't, and she even tried sleeping with the lights on. It didn't work. Sorry about that, excuse me. That was just something. And yeah, Twilight is... she doesn't know what to do. After she, you know, takes a shower, she goes and dries herself off. Sorry about that. And she goes to brush her teeth. So, and of course she also remembers to check on Spike at Sweet Apple Acres. And also to see if it helped him. But before Twilight can think about doing anything else for the day, something in the mirror moves behind her. Which, of course, it scares Twilight, and of course she thinks that it's just the mist from her shower. So she gets rid of it, she's glad that it seems to be just her imagination for now. But Twilight, of course, still makes sure that there's nothing behind her, so... And Twilight starts panicking. She thinks that it's either a silhouette or a shadow or something that's there with her. But Twilight, she tries to, she actually ends up falling into the bathtub, and she gets back up. And of course she tells herself that it's just her imagination and that there's and she sees that there's nothing in the mirror. But regardless, she is done dealing with this, and once again tells herself that there's no such things as ghosts. So she goes downstairs to presumably go to check on Spike. And speaking of Spike, we then see him at Sweet Apple Acres, where he ends up and Spike is sitting on the porch, well, the porch swing, and he's basically just, he's also there with Granny Smith. I am so sorry about that. So yeah, he's there with Granny Smith, and Granny Smith lectures him that he needs to get some rest. But Spike tells her that she doesn't have to deal with a ghost, but Granny Smith doesn't believe Spike. And she tells a time when she was growing up that they had, you know, to do... Sorry about that. So, yeah, Granny Smith then starts rambling about about Sweet Apple Acres and so yeah, basically Spike just pretty much just listens to her. But Granny Smith, while she ends up talking about Twilight. And she mentions a character named Third Eye. And she says that he was apparently creepy. That he was always running into apparently the barn and apparently was burning something, that basically just and ranting how he was banishing the spirits. So yeah, and Spike, this catches Spike's attention, and Granny Smith, she says that it was a while after she and her husband got married, and Third Eye would come by the farm to pick up an order of special apples. And once they were getting them, he started shouting for apparently no reason. And they didn't know what to make of it. And Spike asks what happened after that, and apparently Third Eye started burning some kind of sticks and started waving them around. And Granny Smith doesn't know what to do. Apparently at that time, so they tried and seemingly failed to stop Third Eye. and Granny Smith's husband knocked him out, saying that he wasn't welcome around here anymore. And Spike asks if he still lives in Ponyville, but Granny Smith says that she doesn't know what happened to Third Eye. Or even the last time she saw him. But she does tell Spike that he should go ask someone at the mayor's office, so to know if Third Eye is still around. So Spike thanks Granny Smith for well, helping him get an answer to, well, a seemingly, well, maybe an answer to getting rid of whatever is in the library. And Granny Smith asks Spike where he's going, and of course Spike says he's going to find out where Third Eye is, but Granny Smith says that by the time Spike might get to town, the mayor's office will be closed. Spike tries to protest, but Granny Smith tells him that he can go to the mayor's office tomorrow, and that it's also time for supper, and that Granny Smith also needs help in the kitchen, since Applejack and Big Macintosh are working in the orchards. But of course, Spike is still worried about Twilight, since she's seemingly all alone in the library with the ghost. So, but Granny Smith tells him, not to worry, and so they go to make supper. And we then see Twilight at Sugar Cube Corner helping Pinky with decorations for Nightmare Night. And of course Twilight is exhausted because she's not she apparently hasn't been sleeping good. So yeah, and well, we actually see Twilight getting ready to go to bed. But then she hears some kind of squeaking noise. I am so sorry, excuse me. Which ends up waking her up. I am so sorry, excuse me. So she sees that it's nothing, and she tries to go back to sleep, but the squeaking still... It's still bugging her. But it seems that this is a familiar sound, but Twilight can't seem to place what it is. So she tries to ignore it, but she can't take it anymore, so Twilight gets out of bed and goes downstairs. And yeah. So she goes downstairs, and surprisingly, she actually finds what's been making the squeaking noise. And apparently, it's her Smarty Pants doll, which apparently found its way back to her. And Twilight, of course, since Smarty Pants is supposed to be with Big Mac, and Twilight doesn't know where exactly... bless me. Sorry about that. So, Twilight is wondering how Smarty Pants got there, because, well, like I said, she's supposed to be with Big Macintosh. And so Twilight doesn't know how the doll got there, but she does seem to plan on giving it back to Big Macintosh, but then Twilight hears a loud slamming noise, which it's revealed to be the basement door, and yeah. Actually, yeah, Twilight... So yeah, Twilight tries to open it again with either her magic or her hooves, but it won't budge. It won't open up. And... which is a bit... and... Twilight then hears the squeaking noise again. And she nervously makes her way back to the stairs, where she goes and... let's see. She walks to the center of the basement, where she finds Smarty Pants sitting upright, and once again she hears someone say, "Mine." And Twilight, of course, she still doesn't know what's going on, so she tells herself that there's no such thing as ghosts before she feels something cold on her neck. And apparently someone saying she was mine. So Twilight, she understandably gets out of there, and she tries to get the door open from the basement, and then she teleports, but that doesn't work, so she ends up teleporting out of there. But she still tries to convince herself that there's no such thing as ghosts, but she still hears the squeaking. To the point, and it gets bad enough that Twilight doesn't want to sleep anymore. So she just hides under the covers and assumingly she stays awake the entire night. And then we see Rarity. Basically Twilight took Smarty Pants to Rarity to remove the doll's speaker, so Twilight can look at it. So yeah, even though it seems that Twilight was, of course, scared, she does manage to gather up her courage to leave her bedroom. And of course she took Smarty Pants to Rarity. And she tells Rarity that she wants her to check for anything that anyone may have snuck in Smarty Pants. Basically stuff like enchanted sticks, stone spells, like a metal skeleton, or anything. And she even adds stuffing, and Rarity tells her that Smarty Pants is supposed to be filled with stuffing, but Twilight wants her to take it out anyway to see if anyone put a spell on it. So Rarity says if Twilight really wants her to, she'll open up Smarty Pants and see what happened. And see what she can find. And she actually offers Twilight to, if she wants to freshen up while she waits, because yeah, this apparently isn't doing Twilight. 1 minute. Sorry about that. So, Rarity is... She asks... So yeah, Twilight looks at herself and sees that she's basically... like, her hair is a mess, her coat is a mess, like, she has bags under her eyes, and she's just not having a good time at all. So, Twilight... She thanks Rarity, but declines her offer. That she needs to be there once they get the speaker out. And that she also has some magic detecting spells to see why she was squeaking by herself last night. And Rarity is confused. She doesn't know what Twilight means by the doll squeaking by itself. And Twilight, of course, insists that Rarity needs to open her up so she can check on the speaker. So Rarity picks up a seam opening tool to see what's going on. So Rarity opens up the seam and pulls out Smarty Pants' speaker. And Twilight, of course, takes a look at it, but it seems that she can't find anything wrong with it. And of course, Twilight is confused because this is impossible. And Rarity asks her what is, and Twilight reveals that there's no spells on the speaker. And that the only one that was cast on it was the I wanted, needed spell from, And Twilight, realizing what this means, is that since clearly something else was making Smarty Pants smarty pants speaker, well, squeak. But of course, Rarity lectures her that she's starting to believe what Rainbow Dash and Spike said. But of course, Twilight just leaves without a word. And Rainbow Dash, we then see Rainbow Dash with Spike flying him to, I cannot pronounce it, I'm not gonna try, I know I'm going to butcher it. But, so yeah, Spike tells her that he eventually found out where Third Eye lives. Sorry about that. And that also Rainbow Dash kind of owes him one for the incident with the Phantom Speller. And of course, Dash asks why they need to find him and Spike tells her everything that Granny Smith told him. And so yeah, they need to find him to get rid of whatever is in the library. And Spike he knows that Twilight says that nothing is there, but he'd rather be safe than sorry. So, yeah, he basically and he says something, and Rainbow Dash says, "Oh, you want me to go faster?" And of course she starts speeding into the direction of where they can find Third Eye. And they actually do manage to find him in what appears to be another town. And they find his address, and they managed, both Rainbow and Spike find Third Eye's house, but Spike goes to knock on the door, but no one answers, so yeah. Except the door does creak open a bit, and Third Eye says that you're not dead, and Rainbow is confused. She says, yeah, we're not dead. And that they're looking for someone named Third Eye, and asks if this stallion is him. He confirms this and asks who they are. And he asks if his brother sent them, and if they're with the Nightmares. Spike says no, and that they're here to talk with him about a ghost that's haunting the library. And Third Eye says that this is impossible, and that the library can't be haunted, and that he made it possible, and tells Dash and Spike to go away. But Spike tells him that they need his help, and that Rainbow Dash brought a Phantom Speller in, and that seems to get Third Eye to come back out again, since he basically, he slams the door after he tells them both go away. And of course, he seems upset that Rainbow, I am so sorry, excuse me, used a phantom speller in the library. I am so sorry. And Rainbow confesses that she did. And we actually see, like, what Third Eye looks like, and his cutie mark is actually rather interesting, because it's described as being purple lines in the shape of an eye with a triangle. And he says that they don't seem to be possessed. And it appears that there's been some kind of contact with something, to which Rainbow tries to ask what they contacted. And Third Eye grabs Rainbow and Spike and drags them into the house. And of course, Dash tells him to let them go. But Third Eye he sort of mutters to himself that they can't talk yet, and that the house has to be secured before they talk. Which, yeah, Third Eye secures the house and tells Spike and Rainbow Dash that they're safe from the glowing eyes now. And of course, Rainbow she asks if they're safe from what? And he tells them that they're safe from the nightmares that have been near them. I am so sorry about that. So, and of course, and he also says that the nightmares are after him too. Well, it's a nightmare that's apparently after him, and apparently the library is supposed to be saved, and he actually made sure it was safe. And since it's not safe, and I am so sorry about that. And so he does something. He starts pacing in a circle, and Spike is wondering what Third Eye is doing. And Rainbow Dash doesn't know, and she also thinks that they should leave because this stallion seems crazy, but Spike, of course, doesn't want to, because they should at least ask him if he knows how to get rid of the ghost. But sorry about that, just trying to get comfy. Sorry about that. But Third Eye says that it isn't a ghost, and that their auras have been apparently tainted by a nightmare. And of course, it seems that he's just talking about, like, a bad dream that's haunting the library. But Third Eye tells them that no, it's a different kind of nightmare. something that lives beyond dreams. It's not a ghost and it's not a spirit. And also that Rainbow Dash and Spike's auras were touched by a nightmare. And apparently the library is supposed to be safe, like Third Eye's house, it seems, but since nothing can get in. And Third Eye, he then uses his magic to reveal a symbol on the floor, which apparently is what is protecting the house, and Rainbow asks what it is. Sorry about that. He says that it's a spirit ward. It's spelled it's W-A-R-D. Saying, and I probably ended up butchering what it's actually called. I apologize for that. And he says that it keeps the nightmare away, and they can't enter the house without permission as long as it's there. And the library has one too. And the library should be protected if it does. And Rainbow tries to touch it, but Third Eye stops her from doing so. And Rainbow thinks that, of course, she gets mad as he ends up tackling her, but Spike tells her, no, we need his help. And Third Eye explains why he did that is because she was going to touch the symbol, and that it's not supposed to be touched, and that it's delicate, since it's apparently written in ash. A-S-H, ash. And that it could get ruined if and that if it gets ruined, then apparently the nightmare will end up coming for Third Eye. And Spike reassures him that Rainbow Dash isn't going to touch the symbol on the floor, and tries to get him to calm down, and that he's safe. So Spike tells him that they need his help. And apparently Third Eye agrees, saying that they've been touched by the nightmare and that their auras are marked by it. But he wonders how this happened, since the nightmare can't get in without permission. And he thinks whatever is protecting the library ended up becoming damaged later. Which Spike asks if it's the one in the basement. And Third Eye actually reveals that he actually used to live at the library that Twilight is now living at. He helped ponies, he kept the books in order, and he cleaned the shelves, etc. But apparently his talent was that he could see things that other ponies can't. He could see spirits, nightmares, and he apparently thought that if he can make them all go away, Ponyville would be safe. And he actually ended up battling a nightmare, and a very strong one. And he actually tried to stop it, but it didn't work. It actually only made it worse. So, since he couldn't beat the nightmare, he had to he ran away. But the nightmare ended up chasing him, so he put the symbol on the basement floor of the library to keep it out, but it still ended up chasing after him after he left. I am so sorry about that. He explains to Rainbow Dash and Spike that he was only trying to protect the ponies of Ponyville and that he didn't want to scare them, so he told them about the nightmare and to watch out, but the mayor apparently got upset and angry at this and thinking that he was spreading rumors, and so he had no other choice but to leave. So he ended up where he is now, but even as he did leave to go somewhere else, the nightmare followed him. And it was not happy. It wanted to get him. So he put the symbol on the house to protect himself, and the nightmare finally left him alone. But Third Eye thinks that it'll come back, since it apparently always comes back. So, yeah, they're basically... So he confirms that one of those symbols is in fact in the basement of the library, and that he says that it doesn't take much to damage it, because if a pony walked on it directly, then it can be broken, and liquids can too. So, and Rainbow Dash actually asks Spike if he remembers what happened at Pinkie Pie's welcome to the season party. And Spike wonders how that's connected to what's going on, and Rainbow says that she remembers when she tried to play Pin the Tail on the Pony, she ended up messing up the poster and ended up crashing and spilling punch everywhere. And Third Eye hears them and asks how long were the lights out, and if they had to turn the lights back on. And Spike says that they were only out for a few seconds and that they came back on their own. So Third Eye gets the feeling, realizes that the punch ended up breaking the symbol in the library. I am so sorry, excuse me. And that's how the spirit got in. And now the library is no longer safe. So Third Eye is panicking since he tells them both that the library is indeed haunted, but it's not by a ghost, since not all ghosts are bad. Well, ghosts aren't always bad, but nightmares are. He basically tells them that they always want something, and that there's a way that they are, and they always want it. And that they can be very patient, but once they get... But he also wonders what this spirit wants. And Rainbow Dash once again brings up the Phantom Speller, saying that it apparently the spirit told them what it wanted, but Third Eye is like, no, those are bad, and that they give the nightmares power. Since the damage is already done, and it also made it easier for the spirit, and that they can't undo the damage that was done, and that they can only make the best of it. That they can use this information against the nightmare to make it go away. And he actually sees that what appears to be on Rainbow Dash and Spike's auras is the nightmare's aura as well. And that it's also the same nightmare that presumably has been chasing him. And that once they get rid of it, it'll just be gone, and that they won't need to use those symbols anymore. So, yeah. We then see Spike, as well as Third Eye and Rainbow Dash, in his kitchen. After Third Eye calms down. And Spike tells Third Eye that Twilight doesn't believe in ghosts. I am so sorry. And that she also appears to be mad that they went all the way to find him. But he also knows... I am so sorry, my nose is just... And Third Eye is actually ending up repeating what the spirit apparently wants. Like, you know, the whole, she took her, I want her back, she will help me get through, she will help me get her, she will be mine. And Spike asks what that means, and Third Eye, at first it seems like the nightmare is talking about two ponies, and that the nightmare already has one, and is likely, and said pony is to be possessed, but it appears that he doesn't know also who she is. And apparently the events before the Phantom Speller was in the library means that she was already there. And that the nightmare is powerful, and that he wants to apparently beat the nightmare, like, you know, make it go away so he can go back to town. Sorry about that. So he, of course, says that there's... And he thinks that the unicorn, which apparently is Twilight, is the she that the nightmare is talking about, and that Twilight must have took someone away from the nightmare. And Rainbow asks if Twilight is the her or the she. And Twilight, and Third Eye confirms that Twilight is the she, and that apparently Twilight ended up taking something from the nightmare, and that Twilight will be the one to help the nightmare take her back. But they still don't know who her is. And Rainbow says that the spirit won't tell them anything. So apparently this nightmare is... it had something that was taken and it wants it back, which apparently it seems that it can't get it back. So it apparently is trying to possess Twilight into helping it get her back. And Spike realizes that the nightmare is after Twilight and they need to go back and help her. But Third Eye says that no, you can't leave now, and that it's too late in the afternoon, and that they won't get to Ponyville before it's dark. And he also says that the nightmares are stronger at nighttime. But of course, Spike is worried about Twilight. And Third Eye says that Twilight will be fine, since even though it wants to possess her, but the nightmare can't possess those who don't believe. And since Twilight apparently doesn't believe, but... and, yeah, so... and, yeah, it doesn't make too much sense, but apparently it's just a rule. And apparently Third Eye thinks that it's Celestia, since she, of course, protects Equestria. And, yeah. And Rainbow asks what they're supposed to do now. And that Third Eye tells them that they have to wait until morning for him to get ready and replace the symbol to make the spirit go away. And also they have to do it in time too, since Nightmare Night is apparently 2 days away, and that's what makes the spirits more stronger. Since Nightmare Night is one night where everyone pretends to believe. So, Rainbow asks if they're supposed to stay there until morning, and Third Eye actually says that they can stay here for the night, since it's safe. And yeah, that's what they'll do. But of course, Rainbow Dash doesn't like the idea. And wonders if this is like the real deal, if Third Eye can even help them. And Spike points out the symbol that was on the living room floor. And that everything he's been saying makes some kind of sense. Yeah. Sorry about that. But of course, Dash is still not too happy with it, but she does comfort Spike that if he actually believes what Third Eye is saying, then Twilight will be fine. But they might be too late, because we see back at the library that Twilight she's basically going through all of her books to try and seemingly protect herself, since she's now convinced that the library is haunted, and yeah. So Twilight she's exhausted, she's scared, she doesn't know what to do now. So she tries to go to sleep, but of course there's still she of course is recalling everything that happened, to her mouth getting burnt on oatmeal, the chill running down her spine, and the incident with Smarty Pants. She doesn't know what the ghost is going to do next now, but something happens. Books start flying all over the place. Well, they fall off the shelves, and Twilight tries to calm herself down, saying that nothing is there and that it's all right. But then there's something that startles her, and Twilight, of course, goes to investigate what's going on. And she finds a book which appears to be shredded, like it is just not. And something ends up saying that she was mine before a screaming, something like screams, which causes Twilight she of course panics and runs to the bathroom. And of course she actually hears something throwing itself against the door, trying to break in. And of course, Twilight is in a panic, and she feels like she's trapped in her own house now. She considers teleporting, but the slamming on the door interrupts her concentration of it, so Twilight breaks down and she does try to think of a way to go out and get help that she could, and find anyone that can help her. But yeah, so Twilight she ends up taking a risk and teleports herself out of the bathroom. But she's not out of the woods yet. The nightmare ends up dragging Twilight back into the house. And of course, Twilight tries to scream for help, but nothing works. And she's eventually dragged back into the library, where where the lights all end up going off, leaving the library in darkness. Whoo boy. That was a wild one. So yeah, that was just wow. Like, a lot of I am sorry about that. Excuse me. I am so sorry. Anywho, so yeah, we finally meet the character of Third Eye. And I actually like how his special talent is, like, being able to see, like, spirits and ghosts and nightmares and auras. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Sixth Sense, even though I never really seen the movie, so I can't comment much on that. But yeah, like, it kind of reminded me of that. And the fact that he was also apparently, he originally lived at the library before Twilight would make, like, it basically, since, you know, he said that it makes a lot of sense for this story because, you know, he says that he cast a symbol that protects in the basement in the library to protect it from the nightmares. And we now know what the nightmare wants. It apparently wants Twilight because, yeah, well, it's not clear as to why it wants Twilight, although I could be wrong. But yeah, it seems that it wants Twilight, it wants to possess Twilight to get back whatever was taken from the nightmare. And we don't know exactly who was taken. So yeah, like, and once again, this reminds me a lot of those Paranormal Activity movies. More specifically, the first one. Because, you know, there's, you know, like, with the whole Ouija board thing, which is, once again, something you should never do, because it's pretty dangerous. Like, please, please don't. I am so sorry about that. That, and I would say it also kind of reminds me, like, of the scene, like, especially the ending of this chapter. It reminded me a lot, well, kind of a lot of the ending of the first Paranormal Activity movie. Because it seems that the nightmare is now going to possess Twilight and get back what was taken. But yeah, so that was pretty much it for chapter 2 of Haunting Nightmare. Oh, and also, not that, sorry, that apparently it also reminded me a lot of those, like, movies that where, like, a place is haunted, or, like, or just anywhere is haunted, and, like, the, you know, the books flying off the shelves, or, you know, like, it also kind of reminded me a little bit of Annabelle, like, the movie that was part of, you know what I mean, like, with, you know, the scene where Twilight is, you know, trying to find what's making that squeaking sound, and apparently the nightmare is using Smarty Pants to do it. And yeah, I don't know, it just, and to me that's actually kind of the creepiest scene for me. That and the ending where Twilight is trying to get out of her house and away from the nightmare, but yeah, she's not. But yeah, like, that still doesn't work, and it just drags her back inside the library to possess her. So yeah, that was it for chapter 2 of Haunting Nightmare. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!